Hi, y'all. How's everybody doing? All right. Well, that's nice. That's good. My name is Mike Kanan, and I'm the COO of Stranger's Guide. We're an award-winning publication that commissions stories from local writers and photographers to build authentic portraits of place from Scandinavia and Tehran to Colombia and Lagos. Learn more about what we do at strangersguide.com or connect with me after the session. I'm very excited to introduce today's great panel. Danielle spent a decade in the advertising commercial production industry before starting her own personal gaming content creation 3 years ago. She's produced TV commercials and online videos for brands like McDonald's, Eddie Bauer, Wingstop, and Hallmark Cards. Kenny Vaccaro has shifted his talents from the football field to the world of esports to pursue one of his most enduring passions. He's the CEO and co-founder of Gamers First, Austin's very first professional esports organization that officially launched in late 2021. LJ Brown is a co-founder and chief gaming officer at Kansas City Pioneers. The Kansas City Pioneers are a multidisciplined esports organization based in Kansas City. Founded in 2019, the Pioneers are made up of some of the top professional teams and players in the world. Matt B.K. Augustin, Director of Brand and Creative Strategy, is an integral part of brand partnerships and business development and the business development team at Faze Clan, this lifestyle and media platform rooted in gaming and youth culture. Please join me and welcome everyone to the stage.
Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to South by Southwest 2022. I think I speak for everybody up here when I say we're pretty excited to be part of the festival and very excited to be with you here in person.
Already killing it.
To say that the last couple of years have been challenging is a bit of an understatement. But along with all the bad, there's been some interesting developments as well. We've seen the creation of the metaverse. Gaming and esports is more relevant now than ever, and its prominence has just continued to skyrocket over the last couple of years. So I think gamers have watched while the rest of the world catches up to knowing what we've always known, that online communities can be just as fulfilling and influential as those that are closer to home or on the big screen. So let's just get right into it. We got to start with the big news. Snoop Dogg just joined Faze. That's a pretty crazy development.
Huge.
Do you want to just talk about that, how that started, how you guys approached him, just a little bit of that, and then we can get into celebrities versus gaming?
Absolutely. So first off, thank you so much for the intro. Happy to be here. Shout out to Faze. Shout out to Kai, actually. Kai Henry at Faze. He was a huge part of bringing Snoop into that fold. And it's funny because we had a panel before the panel backstage and we were talking. And even just now, we were talking about how Snoop has transcended beyond just being a musician. For a lot of us in this crowd, obviously, we know that he came, through the music scene, really making waves. But for this younger generation, honestly, he's an icon who happens to make music. And so for him to align himself with something that he was already doing, gaming is already part of his life, and his son saying yo, this is the wave, this is the move, you need to do it. It just was a no-brainer for us to really partner up and start to do more content with him. So super excited to see what we can bring to life with Snoop. And again, it was just a no-brainer to really bring him into the fold and really start to hit culture even more.
Well, and it seems like that's kind of a development for a lot of celebrities. It's like they almost have to, they can't just be a musician. They have to diversify their portfolio of where they're found for people who know them for music and people who know them now for gaming. And Kenny, you were talking about how your online community doesn't know that you're an NFL player or we're an NFL player. And then a lot of people who follow your NFL career are like, you game?
Yeah, I definitely think it's separate. I've had to almost earn it in the gaming community. Me and Hunter talk all the time about you kind of be entrenched in gaming for gamers to accept you. You got to be authentic or they'll smell you out. It's funny, we were talking about influencers and celebrities. I literally, every morning when I wake up, my boys, they watch gamers every morning instead of football players now. It's crazy. You'll see Nick Merckx, you'll see Cypher PK on my TV every morning instead of Tom Brady or, whoever, Aaron Rodgers. It's you can definitely see a culture shift for sure.
To kind of piggyback off of Kenny there, when it comes to gaming, it's not something that up until now you couldn't really go to school for it. You know, it's something that you kind of really had to grow up doing. You had to step outside of your comfort zone to insert yourself into a community that was new, in virtual, obviously. And you know, I compare learning esports and gaming to like learning a new language. When you learn a new language, what do? You study, you do programs. You may go to that country to learn, and you kind of got to do the same with gaming. So. Yeah.
Well, and you know, with A-listers and different people starting to get into gaming as well, in addition to their already established careers, it almost lends credibility to people who want to go into it, you know, who may have thought, oh, I'll never convince my parents to let me game all the time or pursue it as, you know, a full-time option. And now it's like, well, Snoop Dogg is part of a gaming organization, and, you know, we've got a bunch of, you know, people starting to get into it. NFL players are retiring in order to pursue gaming, so it kind of gives it a little bit more credibility for even more people to jump in. So have you guys found that it's like become easier to start, you know, giving that elevator speech, people more understanding like, oh, what do you do? An esports organization. Is there more recognition now that it's become more relevant?
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, I know there was a lot of excellent points we had when we were talking backstage, but it almost went from originally you not ashamed to be a gamer, but you only kind of shared it only with your circles, whereas now people are proud to say they're a gamer, and as Kenny was saying, it's like, prove it. You can't just say you're a gamer, then people start following up with questions like, okay, well, what do you play? And then it starts to dig into like that credibility you have to build. So it is definitely easier because it's become more widely accepted.
Yeah, I would say there's not really the closet gamer anymore. People are proud. Like my profile on Instagram says gamer. I do a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously former football player, own a couple businesses, but like first and foremost, the reason why we're G1, the reason why we're gamers first, because I was a gamer before anything. So that's why we came up with the name. We didn't just think it was cool or we liked the logo. That's how I identify myself. Regardless of what everybody thought about me growing up, I've had friends, they thought I was crazy. I grew up playing RuneScape. Like, y'all know what game that is? That's like old school. Like,
Old school.
I just remember, and I was just like, my homie, like my best friend's like, what are you doing, Kenny? I'm like, bro, I love this. And then it just manifested into starting to play FPS games, and all of a sudden, we're here talking on a panel. Like, how am I even here talking about gaming? I just got out the league, and I'm on a gaming panel. I never did a football panel. So, like, I just think this is like, it just shows you where it's going. Every day you see a new commercial. Sponsors are partnering with gamers. They're not sponsoring athletes as much anymore. It's nuts. I'm sure you know the same, LG.
Yeah, gaming is the future. I think, you know, for me personally, growing up, it wasn't real. I was playing sports. I played football, basketball, baseball all my life. And growing up, I stayed in my bedroom with the door shut, playing. My mom. I'm the only boy. I'm the youngest. My sisters, my mom, they're like, something wrong with him? Like, why is he always in the room with his door shut? And it's just like, I'm gaming all day long, and I kind of felt like I was missing out on life. I didn't know if it was something that it was something that was gonna be sustainable. And the community that I come from, it was looked at as just something that you just did to pass time. It kept me out of the streets. It kept me out of trouble. It kept me busy. And that's why, you know, I can attest to somebody like Snoop Dogg who joined Faze Clan. I'm sure there was times where video games or music saved Snoop Dogg's life. You know what I mean? And so gaming has always been an escape for me, and I'm hoping that it can be something for other kids that were like me as well. So.
And can I build on that before we go to the next thing? So your first question in regards to, you know, just how gaming has transcended, the other question in regards to A-listers. Something else you have to realize too, like, of course you have that flow when you're fully immersed, you escape into gaming, but think back to when, and if any of you have gamed as kids and your friends come over, right, and you're all sitting on the couch, and if it's a single player game and that one person's in it, you're still there engaging with them. You're still like, oh, go left, oh, watch out for this. It's like, look, we could even go back to the OG days of Goosebumps. You follow the knight down the hall. It's like, fuck, I didn't do that. I went back. Whereas now, to your point on the pandemic, really forcing everyone to be in front of a screen, now everyone feels like they're in these gamers and creators' living rooms. So it's not just an A-list celebrity, it's someone you feel like is your big brother or big sister. So to your point on building up that credibility, it's like they transcended to another level of stardom where folks like Snoop want to join Faze because, look, Snoop is an icon. I'm not saying he wouldn't be impactful, but he recognizes the value in getting close with folks who have built their audience from the ground up by making it feel like you're a part of their life because you get to see what they do each and every day.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest difference as far as being an athlete and being a streamer is to me. Like, I could be on a football field, but I don't have a live Twitch tat telling me to go tackle this guy on my right or get a pick. But you see a guy like XQC or Nick Merckx or anybody, their chat saying like, hey, go over here. Like, I saw such and such do this. You just can't get that anywhere else. People feel like they're truly connected with the streamer, the gamer. They feel like they're impacting his day in a little way.
And I think it's interesting too that, the 20 years ago, if you think of a gamer, you think of, the guy in his mom's basement and he's just like, ugh, and he never leaves and there's, a dozen Mountain Dew cans. And now it's like the gamer is, I'm a gamer, me, you might not look at some of us up here or, the gamer itself, it has kind of transcended. And I think especially, to Gen Z, they're starting to look at gamers and Twitch streamers and stuff as like, as icons, like the panel says, like they're starting to be the icon. So, what do you think it is about like Gen Z or the younger generation that really, I think to your point, it's probably because they feel so connected, but why don't you go on?
Personally, I just feel like access changed everything. Social media platforms, you being able to almost be a part of somebody's journey along the way is why a lot of audiences, a lot of communities become attached to these certain streamers, and a lot of big time people are using that to build their platform. Right? You have the live chats. You have guys like Aiden Ross, who's literally sitting on Twitch, watching YouTube videos, laughing with his community. He's got girls in there doing E-dates. I popped in one time, and he had Chantel Jeffries. I don't know if y'all know who that is. He was literally taking people from his chat, bringing them in on the live feed, and letting them go on like a virtual date. People want to do that stuff. Like, it's cool. I know you want to be outside. You want to go to a bar and pick up a girl. But there's also a whole community that's online. So it's definitely changing the world.
And to the point on access, I'll throw in another thing too. It's like avenues. Like back in the day, if you wanted a game, it was pretty limited what you can do, whether it's, playing Pokemon against your friends and the physical cards that you had, which again, I bring this up. I'm so pissed that I didn't save anything and I destroyed all those cards.
Same here.
Because I could have had a lot more money and it would have been a different conversation on this panel. But
wouldn't be here.
Yeah, wouldn't be here. But now it's like you look at even brands like Netflix, right? And when Bandersnatch dropped and you had a chance to play something you were watching, it was game changing. And to your point, it's like there's so many ways that we've gamified entertainment that I think it just opens up the doors for so many people to consider themselves gamers beyond the traditional sense of what we thought.
I feel like some specific people have certain fantasies that they can't live in real life. That they can online. That's why we see things like the metaverse blow up, or, Sims was huge, or right now GTA RP is huge right now. And it's just because people want to live these alternative lives and fantasies that they either can't afford to live in real life, or, GTA RP, they'll go to jail for that in real life, right? So, and so I think that, having those simulations so easily accessible is huge for not just Gen Z, but all of our generations. You've got Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, and then honestly, I feel like it's gamer next. And so I think that a lot of people really appreciate the fact that they can take their fantasies and put it into something in the comfort of their own home. And just wake up and go downstairs and live that life they want to live virtually.
It's funny you said that because I always tell Hunter and Cody all the time, like the movie Ready Player One, like maybe it doesn't need to be like exactly like that, but I feel like sometimes the American dream is to escape reality. It just is. Like, that might be a sad statement. It could be what you want it to be, whether it's gaming, whether it's getting into drug, like there's all types of different things. And I feel like, especially for the Gen Z kids, they have to watch from letting that consume them.
I love the Ready Player One reference. Hopefully we do get to that stage before I'm too old to actually run and jump, because then if COD does go that angle, like I'm just not going to play.
We'll get murked.
Right. But to your point on fantasy, obviously these two dudes are a little bit more buff than me, right? But there was once upon a time where I thought I would be this size at this age and I'd be a wrestler. And clearly, again, I'm talking to y'all on a panel about gaming and I'm not on SmackDown. Yep. But WWE just dropped. And when I play with my friends, I have a whole, I'm going to sound crazy, but I have a whole different personality that I play out. Like, as soon as I get in the party, I'm not asking them how their day was. I immediately snap into performance mode with them. And now we're playing for 3-4 hours WWE with one another, and we're from all walks of life. And again, it sounds crazy, it sounds weird, but those dudes that I've been playing with for the past couple of years, there was 2 tables at my wedding which were filled with people that I met literally role-playing in games like WWE. So to your point on fantasy, I love that you said that, and absolutely would love for us to get to Ready Player One. That would be amazing.
I mean, that's a whole different conversation. As far as like the friends you meet in gaming, it's life-changing. Like my 2 owners, Cody and Hunter, I met them through playing Destiny, and now we run G1 together. Some of my best friends in my life I met through gaming. It's sad to say, sometimes you talk to some of your friends every day for 5-6 hours. You don't get that with your wife sometimes. It just happens like that. Like, it's crazy because if you're gaming for long hours, I'm sure streamers that play with their friends all day, every day, you're not going to have 12-hour conversations with everybody like that. It just doesn't happen. So sometimes you get really, really close to people, and it changes your life.
Unless you marry someone in gaming, which I did,
See?
so you can have it both ways.
See?
Let's get into fashion a little bit. Obviously, there's been some, fashion collaborations with other esports organizations, and also even just seeing, fashion in games. How do you think that fashion has evolved with gaming's influence in the last couple of years?
I'll keep my answer quick on this one, and literally I wore this jersey for a reason. The Murakami collab that we did, and he posted an open letter about why Takashi Murakami wanted to work with a brand like Faze. Like, historically, you wouldn't think something like this would happen. But really, he said he compared it to Basquiat working with Warhol. It's like, why not? You see something that's really changing the face of culture, absolutely want to be a part of something like that. So to your question on how fashion is starting to play more of a role, I think a lot of these major brands are starting to wake up and realize, if you want to resonate with this audience, this generation who doesn't necessarily give a damn about a logo, you need to start showing up in places where they can truly represent themselves and give them a way to do that with your brand versus trying to just sell.
Yeah, and I would argue like the fashion piece too is not just out of game, in game. I mean, people look good, play good. I feel like that when I'm on the football field. And it's the same way whether I'm playing Destiny, whether I'm at Halo, I got a fresh skin. Even Elden Ring, Cody knows, some of those armors are crazy looking. You want to look good while I beat this boss. I want to look good while I get a team wipe in Halo. I want to look good in Destiny when I'm taking out the whole team. It's transcended the real world, really. It's like transmog is crazy.
I think it goes back to the whole fantasy thing. I personally feel like it's not more of a, oh, hey, this is in the game, I'm going to go get that in real life type of thing. I think it's more of a, oh, Kenny Vaccaro has that on in real life, and it's in GTA RP or it's in NBA 2K. Let me go get that in the game because I can afford it on there. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a huge influence, and people see cool things in real life and they want to implement that into their virtual life.
And I think it's going to continue to change and elevate, too. Like, I was joking about this with Chelsea backstage. It's like, if you look at my bank statements, it's almost embarrassing once you start to filter how much money I spend on cosmetics and games. My wife is going to see this, and I'll get in trouble later. But literally, I love to do that because to your point of showing up a certain way when you're playing and you feel like you perform, like I own more kicks in NBA 2K than I've ever in my entire life. And I think once we see this next generation start to have that disposable income and we kind of get away from those horror stories of like, oh, I didn't know my kid had my credit card and spent $900. Like when someone can spend $900 because they grew up doing that by nature, I think that's going to completely revamp how we look at it as well.
I love that. I love that because it's honestly like why would I spend $100 on one pair of shoes in real life when I could spend $100 on 10 pairs on 2K? And I'm playing 2K more than I'm going to the club in real life. So, so no, I love that.
I'm gonna be fresh in game, huh? It's funny you mentioned the $900 because I've had that experience with my son. All of a sudden he's like, I get these Amazon or whatever charges they come on. I get emails and he's like, yeah, Dad, I bought a couple skins. I was like, no, you brought 9 skins. Because Fortnite, they'll get you. Fortnite comes out with a skin every day. And then certain skins are sweaty. He's like, Dad, that's a sweaty skin. I'm like, you got to have that one? Yeah, it makes me look sweaty. I'm like, get it, because I'm a gamer. So
can't run around in the default skin, huh?
No, you can't be default. My son tells me all the time. He's like, there's certain skins that come out, especially the ones that came out in season 1 that people have. Got to have that one. You can't get it.
So what, in addition to your collab, what other fashion brands and designers have you seen creating, or what are kind of your, ideal, like if you could pick anyone to like do a collab with, what would that look like?
You gonna leak? Give us something, man. What y'all got coming up, man?
Yeah.
Southwest only.
I can't leak. What I will say is, and I would love for this to happen, shameless plug, so Faze fans, hopefully this can happen. A dream collab for me would be with Blue the Great. And I call out Blue the Great if anyone has seen his work. He does a lot of like shoelace sort of designs. He's out of California, and we did a program together, and he's one of those people that I'm adjacent to, but like I'm just in awe, haven't had a chance to really do anything. For me, it's like, yeah, like a Nike would be cool, Adidas, Under Armour, like all that's fine. But to see a creator who really like has the streets on lock transcend into something gaming-wise, like he actually has a hoodie in 2K. Again, I keep talking about 2K. I play every night. If anyone wants smoke, please find me. Him having a hoodie in 2K and seeing so many people run around in that hoodie for me is like affirmation that you made it beyond just seeing your hoodie in a store. And so for me, that would be a dream collab, to work with someone like Blue the Great that, again, literally is selling and getting people excited at like that culture level, not necessarily the mainstream everywhere in your face. That to me, more partnerships and collabs like that would be exciting. That's my safe way of answering this question.
I guess for me, obviously you're not biggest Faze. Y'all get to collab pretty much with whoever you want. When I first started really getting into fashion my rookie year, I don't know if y'all know who Jerry Lorenzo is. He's the creative director for Fear of God. That would be like my dream, just because like there's meaning behind his brand, right? When he started it, the way he moves, the way he's articulate, I just like everything about their company. I started buying it in season 1, and that would just be like a dream come true to do like a G1 time spot drop. So
it's a hard question for me because I'm 20, so a lot of the stuff that I grew up kind of seeing, it was just whatever was cool at the time, and that's why being in gaming, you've got to adapt to Gen Z like this, because there's something new every single week. There's something cool, something new, something viral. And so it was always keeping up with the Joneses, growing up and being young. I guess for me, it's got to be like a Louis V or Gucci. Those are the brands that, I've always seen, or, 100 Thieves collab with Gucci. I just saw his backpack at his place. And, those are some of the brands that are getting into esports and gaming and starting to make their brand relevant. And soon you'll probably see those brands in 2K if they're not in there already, 2K, Madden, and their brands will be in there for sure.
I got one more too. Jordan. Like the way the first Jordan inspired me. Like, have they ever done an esports collab? Like the Jordan brand? Like that would be, I'm sure you're gonna take that, but let me get it, bro. Just give me like 5 years. But
Just leave some for the
I'm just thinking about like all the iconic Jordan 1s. Imagine having like a G1 Jordan 1. That's different.
Yeah.
Think about the Off-White Chicagos that came out that Virgil did with Off-White combined, like collab with Jordan. Like those are crazy.
But
could you only imagine?
It's the collabs people want to see. I mean, who doesn't want to see their favorite designer with their favorite gaming organization? It's just, you could drop the coolest, most random piece of product, and if it's cool and nobody else is doing it, then Gen Z, they're eating it up. So.
And I got a wild card build, not necessarily like fashion brand, but brands that have kind of been adjacent to fashion. For me, something that was really exciting as a trend that kind of disappeared was I do feel guilty when I sit and play video games for 4 or 5 hours, more so because my wife would be like, what did you do for the last 4 or 5 hours? And I'm like, I'll look around the house, there's dog fur everywhere, like the dishes aren't done. I'm like, fuck, I didn't do anything but play video games. Yep. And when I'm playing 2K, one of the things you have to do with your character is work out, right? And I feel guilty when I'm on the treadmill in the game, but in real life, all I did is sit down, and I promise I'm going somewhere with this. What I'm excited about for fashion brands is to get back to, let's say my Apple Watch account is connected to my 2K account, and the more that I work out, the better my player performs. Or I go to the store, I buy some J's, and now since I buy those J's, I scan them, and I'm the only one in the game that can show those J's off because I have one-of-one pairs. So for me, it's the function element of it, whether it's, again, a one-of-one item because I bought it in real life, or somehow connected to me actually being fit in real life to make me perform better in a game. That's what I'm really excited for.
That's funny you said that. I have a gym here in Austin, Texas called The Collective, and our CEO wants to get into the NFT projects, and he wants to move to earn. So basically, you get a workout in at the gym, in the metaverse, our gym, you get points, you get tokens to go into the gym. So that's kind of the same concept, I assume. And that's a project we're working on now.
So
don't steal it.
You're just giving all these ideas away for free. So, kind of piggybacking off that, as the question says, where are you seeing the tentacles of gaming culture touch other industries, and do you feel like this will only increase?
I'd say so. I mean, you've got car brands coming in, Nissan, BMW. You've got, I mean, look at this guy over here. You've got designer brands coming in, and it's because of the reach. I was telling Kenny this, or my Uber driver this yesterday, actually. That like deep conversations. That at least I would say more than half of our country, half the world is at least a casual gamer. I would say almost everybody knows how to at least play something. Maybe not on a competitive level, but a casual level. And so, with that comes a massive reach, a massive demographic. And so for these brands to get involved, it's huge for them. And I love the move to earn kind of model there, because it can translate from in real life stuff to virtual things, and having those incentives there to do actual things, in real life it's extremely rewarding for you if you're on the game almost every day, so.
Bro, you had Brett Favre in a Faze jersey. Like, y'all are touching everywhere. Yeah. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, McDonald's, like, y'all just need car sponsorships. You got like Brett Favre. He don't game. He does Levi, what is it, the pants commercials. But he was in a Faze jersey, though. It's touching everywhere. Like, NFL, the fact that they did that deal with y'all, like, they're not touching every company. They chose y'all for a reason, because they know y'all have the reach. They know what it does for their brand. Like, forget about how big the NFL is. Think about Faze and all the lives y'all are touching. So I think that did it for me. I told you back there, I was just like, the fact that you got him wearing a jersey, he don't even know. He's just out there swagging it up, right? So, it's definitely, it's changing the world, really. Like, it's like gaming's putting its fingerprints all over everything.
Yeah, and I think y'all two hit it on the head. One thing I'll bring up, in my former life before I came to Faze, I worked in the ad industry, as I was telling you before. And every brand that I touched when it came to like strategy, how do we reach this next generation, was we need to immerse them, right? And we talked about this earlier, like the fact that gamers and creators are so popular is because you can interact with them, right? And as we continue to need more immersive experiences, one of the brands I worked on was Tinder. I'm married, but still had a blast working on that brand. And when we rolled out something called Swipe Night, instead of just swiping left and right on matches, you literally had to play a game where it was the end of the world and you had to make split-second decisions. Like, there's a puppy that's going to get trampled. There's a young lady that's going to get trampled. Who do you save? By the way, depending on the decisions you made earlier, you saw the young lady hooking up with your friend, or you saw the puppy bite someone. So it's like split decisions like that. and getting people excited to gamify that experience. Again, I talked about Bandersnatch. I can't wait until the day where I'm an adrenaline junkie. Like, I can't wait till the day where you go to the movies, you put on a headset, and instead of just looking at Michael Myers in front of you, like you hear something behind you, you turn around, he's right over your fucking shoulder. So I think the more that brands want folks to immerse themselves, the more easy it's going to be, or the easier, it's going to be for gaming to really start to spread those tentacles even further, because there is no, in my opinion, industry like gaming that can immerse and get people to interact like that.
So if you had to predict, we're predicting now, how pop culture, fashion, and gaming culture is going to evolve and intersect 5 years from now, what would you think that would look like?
I mean, it already has. I mean, it's only going to grow even more. Honestly, like, it's all one big thing to me at this point. I'm sure when I think of Faze, like, every year I watch, it's less and less to me gaming. I think of the word culture. And under that banner of culture is pop culture, fashion, music. It's one idea for me.
Am I up next? I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I think that, like to Kenny's point, I mean, we're looking at it. I mean, NBA 2K is insane. They've been doing it for almost 5+ years now. All the new Jordans are in there, all the Nike gear, Puma, all that. You know, and I just think that we can expect to see more of these things in more video games. We might get a Halo. The next Halo might have, you know, a Louis V jacket on it, on the armor, you know, or whatever. But I just think that we can expect to see a lot more of that integration.
I was just going to say, to your point, it's here. The biggest change that I think we'll start to see is no longer will your audience be segmented of your NFL fans and your gaming fans. Now people are just going to be a fan of you in general, and they know you do all of these things. So I think over the next 5 years, it's going to be more common for folks to just understand this is a person who happens to game, who happens to do this, versus, oh, he's an athlete and a gamer. It's like, no, he's just a gamer athlete, like whatever you want to call it. Like, all those audiences are just going to continue to blend instead of being so segmented from one another. And that friction is going to create a culture of its own.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like you were saying earlier, Danielle, there's so many people that know me as Kenny Vaccaro, the athlete, and there's so many people that know me only as a gamer. And I think in 5 years, that's going to be no more.
Mm-hmm. It's just going to be like personalities, and then this, you know, you follow this personality or you follow this org, and they do all of these things, not just like I follow a gaming org. It's like I follow this organization and I love their, you know, esports and their fashion collabs and all that. So I like to use the term athlete. Because fast hands, fast feet, fast fingers, fast eyes, like all those skills are needed whether you're gaming or you're actually competing on a field. And it's going to be like the John Legend sort of vibe where he's a musician. He can play the piano, he could sing, he can write. It's like or Kanye, I'll use that because Genius is out right now. Yeah. Like all those things blended together, you don't really know him for one, you just know him as a musical genius. And I think it's going to be like that. Like, I'm speaking into existence, giving you your flowers now. Like, he's going to be the genius who happens to do all these different things versus knowing him for one in particular.
Like you said, you can say what you want about Kanye, but after watching that documentary, like, that's probably where when it all intersects, that's who I see without all the other extra stuff. But that genius.
I was gonna say that just something that has always been like huge for me and that stood out to me was like Travis Scott being put in a game like Fortnite. I feel like you're gonna see a lot more integrations like that where you know, celebrities or athletes. I think Justin Jefferson's in Fortnite now, and they've got NFL players, and we're gonna see a lot more of this stuff, guys. It's insane that you know, you've got guys like Kenny Vaccaro, dude leaves the I played football all my life. That was my dream. He lived my dream, and it's kind of like I was living his, you know. And so it's just like, you know, for him to leave the NFL to do this, it's just super insane. It's humbling. And like I said, I think that you're going to see a lot more athletes and celebrities and actors, you know, either join forces or even leaving their profession to you know, join this industry.
We're just living life, and that's what I like about it. I wake up every day and get to do something I love, and I love football, but this is something else. I get to create, I get to grow relationships with my friends, I get to meet new people, I get to do business deals. I get to manage players. Talk about like our Halo team. Hunter's our GM. He's sitting right here in front. But being like in those discords and having conversations, it's bigger than gaming. Guys go through mental health stuff. Guys have issues going on with their families. Like gaming is so much deeper than the surface level stuff you see on Twitch. And like for me, esports, it fills that void. I left the NFL. I haven't blinked. I don't miss it. I tell my boys ask me all the time. They're like, well, "You want to go back?" It's like, nah, I have a new locker room. Like every day when I hop in that G1 Discord when I'm with Hunter and Cody, that's my locker room. And we're trying to build a championship Halo team right now. KCP, they have a great Halo team. I'm trying to get to where he's at. But for me, like he said, he wanted to be where I'm at. I want to be where he's at. And I enjoy that grind. That gives me something new, newer heights to reach. Like I want, like every time I get to a certain mountaintop, I got to get to the higher one. Like that's how I feel about it. So like for me, I'm starting from ground zero. I really even shouldn't be talking on this panel, really. But thank y'all for having me. Like, this is my dream, and I'm gonna live it. You can call me crazy for turning down contracts or whatever. No, it's not crazy. I go to bed peaceful. You know, like that is probably the most valued thing you can have in life. And when I lay my head down, I'm at peace. When I wake up, I thank God that I get to do what I do.
And you had a point of like he was living your dream and you were living his. I think it was the prophet Aubrey that said they want to be them, or we want to be them and they want to be us, right? And then I'll actually counter what you just said of like you shouldn't be up here. Like there is no cookie cutter look for what a gamer is. Like there are some people who still are in their parents' basement drinking a Mountain Dew, playing not the healthiest out there. And there are also people who are super athletic and literally their streams are them just in the gym working out. There's also people who are going to be excited to jump in and have a chance to earn points because their fitness lifestyle is going to give them a chance to gamify what they're doing. Never in a million years, like I wish I would meet the person who honestly believed that they would see Drake and Ninja conversing together. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this industry. It's like everyone understands that there's so many walks of life that go into this. So there is no cookie cutter thing or person or look. It's really, we all have this love for this universal thing that brings us all together. And the more that folks realize that, bringing it back over the next 5 years, we're going to see so many more people start to pour into this space.
Bro, think about this, bro. Tim the Tap Man and Ninja were in the NFL 100 commercial. The history of the NFL, all the greatest players ever in the world, they chose two gamers to be in it, not like anybody else. There's a lot of famous people in this world. They got the history of the world. They chose, I think, Ninja, when he's serving like drinks, like and Tim the Tap Man was on a track, like what?
Shout out to my last agency. I worked at 72 and Sunny when we did that on the strategy side, and it was
Flex.
a no-brainer. Like they didn't even even have to argue. Like when those names came up, everyone was just like, okay.
But just think about it. Like there's so many. The Rock could have been in there.
Yeah.
All the famous Kanye. I don't know rap like anybody, but they chose two gamers. That answers your question, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I think too, like we were talking beforehand, where it's like, do you think more A-listers, Snoop Dogg, all these people are starting to see getting into gaming or esports or anything as a way to expand their audience into younger audiences now?
I think that, yes, they want a new demographic. Yes, they want to capture the younger generation for their personal brand or whatever their mission is. Yes, that's the business aspect of it. They should do that. I also feel like a lot of these people get in because I feel like deep down they had this childhood dream and feeling that they could not fulfill probably over the last decade. Like within the last decade, they couldn't fulfill that dream or fulfill that feeling of being a professional gamer or making YouTube videos for fun or streaming to people. You couldn't do that probably 10 or more years ago and live off of that or make money off of that or grow your brand off of that. And so I feel like a little bit of it is personal goals and their personal feelings towards gaming and the community and representation. And we've pioneers. We've done. We have a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City, and I see a lot of these kids and I hear what they say and their parents don't let them play their game. They don't think that it's sustainable. And I know in 20 or 30 years when they're, working that desk job or whatever, they still got, it's still in them. They still, if somebody gave them a free PS5 or whatever, or, let them play the game, like that's their dream. Like they want to do that. And I feel like a lot of people just don't talk about it. It's the closet gamer feeling. I feel like a lot of us have had that feeling and have been closet gamers before.
I think, like I said earlier, I think a lot of times access, like it's easier to stream. Like I don't know anything about like hooking the computer up. Like Cody has to do it for me, our CFO. But like guys now, it's so easy to plug your PC in, plug the camera. Like it just wasn't the same back then. Like that's why T Grizzly. You think T Grizzly put his whole setup together, that dual PC? Like he didn't do all that. Like those guys have a guy that wants to be in their community. Come probably help him out because they love that person. And once you build a community, anybody will come do it. Like if I need some tech stuff done, my whole community will come. Like right. So like I think it's just a lot easier to stream now. Going off what LG said.
Yeah, and of course, artists are gonna want to look at gaming as the gaming community as another avenue to expand their reach. But I think that's mostly gonna be like those icons who want to transcend music. But on the flip side, these newer artists I'll use, and I know YBN broke up, but like YBN Corday, right? He literally met his fellow artists when he was a part of that group in Xbox chat. And so while the older artists, like the Snoops of the world, the Hoves of the world, the Drakes, it's crazy that he's old now, are going to see gaming as a potential opportunity to expand that audience, there's still this younger generation that is just gaming nonstop. Like, I'm a fan of Big Soulja. I don't know about y'all. I grew up cranking the Soulja Boy. Everywhere I had the 2 slits in my eyebrows as well. And he's been gaming nonstop. Like, and that's just been who he is, and he connects with a lot of people that way. So again, this younger generation isn't looking at gaming as another marketing angle. They're looking at it as like, this is just another language that I speak.
I think it's crazy how you kind of touched on Corday meeting up with somebody that he met on Xbox. I've seen so many stories where people have had friends on Xbox or PlayStation or Steam for years and years, and they end up meeting in person for the first time. And it's crazy because I've had those relationships, with friends that I've met on Xbox and on PlayStation, where it's just like sometimes I'm like, dang, like I'm closer to these dudes than I am with homies that I've known since kindergarten. And I've had those thoughts, I've had those doubts, like, dang, these dudes are closer to me than some of my homies down the street, And so growing up, having those relationships and being able to be a part of that community, it's just a blessing for sure.
Yeah, I'll say this, like, obviously we have our high school best friend, we have our college best friend, like AO, Alex Okafor, who plays for the Chiefs, my best friend. But I talk to Cody and Hunter more than anybody, and I met them through gaming. Like every day we're in the ops talking about certain things. So it's definitely, if gaming isn't anything else, it's a way to connect. You meet people that'll change your life. Like you don't want to make money from it. You don't want to do anything with it. You don't want to support it. But I promise you can meet some special people. Hey, I didn't even notice we got questions right in front of us.
Yeah, I was about
I think we've been ignoring everybody on Twitter.
We can start the Q&A, and I believe there is a mic in the audience, so if anyone has a question, we can go to that as well, and then I can fill in with questions from the online community.
You want to?
I would love to hit Miguel's question. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I like the first one too.
You want to take the first one, and I'll jump in next? Just go in order.
Yeah, so Miguel's question is, how do you keep brands authentic to the gaming community, do's and don'ts?
So I got to put my corporate hat on. So obviously,
Listening.
Director of Brand and Creator Strategy at Faze, this is literally my job, figuring out how these brands that see what's going on in the gaming world can start to connect. Because, of course, they're going to be like, we got brand dollars. This is our messaging. Say this tagline. It's like, it doesn't work. For the most part, you need to understand whenever brands approach us that the fans are always right. And I know it's like you hear that age-old saying that the customer is always right, but no. Fans can literally see when something is branded content. Now, if they're going to accept it or not is if it feels like it's something for them or providing some sort of utility. And by that, I mean entertainment, value, something that's giving back to them that feels like it's being created for them versus talking at them. Because, again, they've been accustomed and groomed to interacting back and forth with these streamers, they're not going to just want to sit and be told or talked to about marketing. So for me, the biggest and best opportunity there is to make sure that you think fan-centric first and understand the brand that you're working with, whether it's a Faze, whether it's a G1, it doesn't matter who it is. They're going to know their audience better than any of your market research ever will.
I think authenticity it's definitely it's a trait that starts with your leadership team, your ownership, and the people, everybody that's involved with the decision making with the brand. And to kind of touch on your point, you've got to be able to understand, listen, and adapt to your community and your fans. If your fans are telling you that, they've wanted a specific design or product or team or want you to get into a new esport for a year or two, they probably really want you to get into that esport, And so, to your point, the fans are never wrong. Your community is never wrong. You have to listen to your community and adapt to them. Because like I said, we're in 2022, there's something new every week, something new, something viral. And as businesses, we've got to understand that the whole stigma of we run the business, so we know everything that's right, that has to be gone. People are watching, people are seeing, they know what they like. And chances are, if they're asking for it, they'll probably buy it or be a part of it or, want access to it. So,
yeah, I've noticed in my content creation, when I have a brand sponsorship, if they provide a script for me, it's going to be a bad time. Like, there's going to be so much less engagement as opposed to me doing it in my own voice or talking to my community how I'm used to, even that if that's a little bit more edgy or, not as brand friendly or whatnot, keeping it that good balance of being authentic, being a little bit looser with it, but still hitting the messaging that they want. Let's go to a question in the audience so you don't have to keep standing.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, everyone. My name's Mila. I work in tech, but I stream on the side. And one of the things that I've realized while streaming, I have two questions. The first one is, you're always constantly creating, right? As a content creator, there's always something else you can do, always something more that you can create. So what does that time management look like for you? And how do you make sure that you don't burn out? Because I think, especially for me, like burnout is so real, having an 8 to 5 and then streaming. I'm sure for all of you, you're always coming up with something new. So that's the first question. And then my second one is, as a woman in gaming, like I was the closeted gamer that y'all are talking about almost my entire life. And then kind of thanks to all of you doing things with, breaking barriers between different industries, that's one thing that really helped me come out, so to speak. And so I think that's really awesome. And I was wondering, how do you see now and in the future these collaborations working towards having more emphasis for people who are typically underrepresented in the gaming community, like women and LGBTQ?
Representation is huge. First, I appreciate you being a part of this community, this industry, and having the strength to do what you do in an industry that is new and can sometimes degrade women and LGBTQIA and minority communities. Gaming is always been an escape, but gaming can be harsh. Gaming has always been I've never been called the N-word in real life. Always on gaming. Yep. I've never heard homophobic stuff. I won't say never, but I rarely hear it in person, but always on gaming, always in the lobby, and it's always unprovoked. It's just it's hate. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate your question. Being a woman in gaming, obviously I can't speak for women. I'm not a woman, but I support women in gaming, and we as a company, we have we bought out a organization called the Women's Cardball Association, and we're actually raising awareness for women in gaming and LGBTQIA. We have a women's Rocket League team. 2 of the women on our team are transgender, and I'm the chief gaming officer, so I manage these girls, and I hear how they feel, and I try to understand what they're going through and what they feel. And so for you to stand up and ask that question, I appreciate you. And, we as an industry have to continue building and raising awareness. My bad. I was just saying something.
With you, bro.
And raising awareness for these communities, because it's huge. Like, I want you guys to be a part of what we're doing. I've seen women casters and commentators, tweet out and say, like, if I didn't have a pretty face, I wouldn't have got this job. Or, I don't want women in gaming feeling that way. And so it is a mission for pioneers and myself to make all women and LGBTQIA and Black and brown and minority people feel welcome to our community. So
I think it's our community in gaming as a whole, all of us, all our leaders. If the leaders at the top put their foot down to make these changes, everybody else will fall in line. If the Fazes, the 100 Thieves, the Optics, if they all do it, everybody will pay attention. Just like the support of Ukraine. Every single org, back to back, changed their profile pic for the Ukraine colors to support them. You saw that. It was just like a chain. It's a big community, but at the top, it really isn't. The people that inspire, it's a small group that everybody follows. Daniel, we were having a conversation yesterday about, like, stepping up. If you hear it, say something. I mean, you even got mad at your husband, right? Because somebody was harassing you. I didn't mean to put you on blast, but tell the story.
Yeah, so I was playing Valorant with my husband and another guy friend of ours, and some random that we queued up with was kind of, being rude the whole game, and then towards the end he started talking about very inappropriate sexual things that he would like to do, and both my husband and my friend were so shocked that somebody was addressing me this way that they almost like clammed up. And it was the end of the game, so afterwards I logged off and I said, look, that's not acceptable. I know you're shocked because it's your first exposure to this, but this is daily. Like, this is not. So I need you to step up. Like, if you hear it, say something. If you, stand up, because a lot of times toxicity from males towards females is like, if they'll respect other males more than they will women being like, hey, that's not cool. If another dude steps in like, that's lame, then they're more likely to be like, oh, okay. So yeah, so just having not only representation, but also major advocates who are defending, who are pushing forward, and all of that, I think, helps make it more ubiquitous of just like everyone games and everyone's welcome to game.
And to that point of everyone gaming, everyone being welcome to game, it's going to require, again, the phases of the world to make sure that the camera is on the people who are underrepresented instead of just the same names that you always see. Of course, like the OGs, of course, the people that blaze a trail are going to have that screen time, but I mean, they can get the screen time on their own. They can literally go live on IG and get hundreds of thousands of people to tune in just because they're live on IG. It's up to us to, when we start to put content out in the world, to make sure that we keep that in mind and almost overcorrect. So it's like, it sounds terrible, but it's like looking around at set like, wait a minute, we don't have any people of color here. We don't have any women here. What are we doing? And like starting to make sure we keep that mindset. And then to your first question in regards to like just streaming and how to keep yourself sane, I would say it's about like discipline and having that schedule. And by that, I mean like setting time aside for not just the streaming and the gaming that your fans can know when to tune in, but also time for yourself, whether it's you going to take a walk, whether it is you just literally playing a game without streaming that you can just mindlessly enjoy and relax and be at peace. Having that sort of like discipline for yourself is going to make sure that it keeps your mind clear and you can keep moving and running, and just always understand you come first. Like, I think people see a lot of those who have made it and look at their path of always being on, but they don't see like the behind the scenes of what was going on, and they think they can't turn off themselves. So always keep in mind that you could turn off, you're gonna come first, fans will be there. It's just about how you get them galvanized and excited, but make sure you don't try to do like the child star or child celebrity mindset of like, I need to be in everything on all the time, because when we see what happened to those child stars, like they grew up and life is kind of hitting them hard. So just make sure that you're keeping yourself first, keeping your mental health first, and then again, having that discipline and that schedule will help you start to figure out what is the best cadence and approach for you.
No, and respect to you for having a 9 to 5 than doing streaming.
100%.
I can't. I struggle with it, and I don't even technically. Gaming's kind of like my job right now. For me, it's like get to the gym, because our gym, G1 Facilities, connected to the gym collective, because I kind of want to build this gym, this org around health and wellness, and kind of bridging that path, because I think we're still behind in that area. Is you get there early, get a workout in. I'll have my meetings with Cody and Hunter, try to get a stream in, and then get back off. But I also got a family of, I got 3 kids right now, 1 on the way. That I got to go home and be a dad. I got to turn off the CEO Kenny or streamer Kenny and go straight home to either coach my son. I'm the head coach of his flag football team. They're the best flag football team in the country. Shout out to them, Cedar Park Bulldogs. It's not even close. But I kind of that's what made my transition so easy for me. Like, I know it's not like that for everybody, but I've always been like, when you play in the NFL, like, you're on an itinerary, like 6 o'clock breakfast, 7 o'clock team meeting, 8 o'clock special teams, 10 o'clock practice. I just kind of kept that same workflow with me, and I just take that into my life now. And honestly, it's been great. And when you're doing something you love, it ain't even work to me. I'm sure like what you love is content creation, right? So after you get off work, it's like, now it's time to relax. But like he said, don't overdo yourself, because like if you burn out, then the quality of your content's going to go down, right? And then you're not going to be able to build that culture, that community that you want to build. Even if you're live for 2 hours, but it's 2 hours of hot fire, just do that, and then make it 3 and make it 4. And then maybe you build a community so big that 9 to 5 is gone. Just like Hunter, he stepped away. He's like, I'm done with this. It might be a little risky, but at the end of the day, when you lay your head down at night, you're at peace, and you wake up and you're a content streamer. And another thing on your other question, as far as women in gaming too, I think we're, Hunter, what do we say, like a year or 2 away from when the women break into that esports barrier, because why can't they compete? Why not? I get football, we talked about it. Like, you just ain't, those dudes are huge, right? It's just like, there's a physical limitation. But is there with women? And like, it's a stereotype. Like, they can react just as fast. They can think just as fast. They can aim just as good. And right now, it's almost like the gaming leaders of the past or whatever, it's like they're being gatekept. And right when we tear those gates down, you're not gonna know who. It might be a woman, transgender, guy. All I know is I got dropped. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm getting teabagged. I don't know who it is. It might be Carrie or Carl or whoever. But I've seen so many talented women that I'm like, God, they could be on an esports team. We just got to keep breaking barriers. Our leaders we got to do it.
Well,
not even me. But
I think the leaders, that's where it starts. I think that it starts with the people with positions of power, and I feel like underrepresented communities, women, LGBTQIA, they need to be put in positions of power to have a say. We need to diversify the leaders in our industry in order to build more leagues for women. There's only 2 leagues for women right now, and that's the Valorant Game Changers and the WCBC, which is the Women's Carball Championship. And in order to build this infrastructure for women in gaming, we need more women leaders. I love Evil Geniuses. They made their CEO's a woman. It's a black woman, and and that's, like I said, I grew up. There was no real, my idols, my icons were your nade shots, your hacks, your scumps. There wasn't anybody that looked like me that was doing this. And so that's why I take so much pride in it now, because I want to be, I want the next, little black boy to go on YouTube and see what I'm doing and say, hey, he looks like me. Like, I can do that too. I didn't have that growing up. And so it's why I appreciate comments like yours and why I want to be a part of the solution so much.
And while we're on this too, like he said, it's going to take women being in those front offices, right? The CEO roles, the content director roles, the CFO roles, the chief gaming officer roles. That's the same problem that's in the NFL. The reason why there's not that many black head coaches, because the front office, it's all white people. No offense to anybody. Like, I'm just being honest right now. That's the reason why people aren't getting positions of power. It is what it is. Until that changes, that's when everything else is going to change. And I think it's the same thing with women in gaming. As soon as women start having positions of power in gaming, I think the balance will take care of itself.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That was awesome.
All right, we have 1 minute left. If we can get one more question, but you guys gotta fast. I like the one, pretty easy one. Will games move into one consolidated metaverse, do you think?
I hope so. Could you imagine booting up Grand Theft Auto and you can, again, this is a game, not saying I would do this in real life, but like you can jack a car and then go drive to a court and go play 5v5 with your boys, then jump back in and then go build a house like you're in The Sims, and then go raise a Pokemon that's running around with you. Like, that would be sick. So I would love for that to happen. However, I think it would take the major players to start playing ball with each other in a way that I don't think they're at just yet.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen for sure is skins are going to be NFTs. You're going to be able to own, if I own a skin in Fortnite, Halo, Call of Duty, it's in my wallet. I own that. And that I don't think we're ready for the whole metaverse. Hop in a whip, go play 2K, then I pull up to the Halo house. Now we're playing, like, I don't think that, but I think we're really close to having NFTs kind of infiltrate all the skins of the game.
Maybe we might have time for one more question. So, short answer is yes. I think that, I mean, it all correlates with each other. The new age, the new technology, NFTs, metaverse. Yes, it's an easy yes for me.
Yeah. Just a matter of time and how long that timeline is. Like, probably not soonish, but definitely on the timeline. So, all right, that's all the time that we have. Thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful rest of your South by Southwest.